How much suffering would we experience if we let go of the stories? If all we had was the moment and we approach each one in the moment without the attached stories, sometimes it's as if there could be times where, we might have had disagreements, or someone has, done something that has hurt us, that we felt hurt by the experience. And it may be a new day, but every time you see that one, it's like you experience that pain. What is the reason why we experience the pain? Is it because there's pain just emanating from them and we catch it? Or is it a story that we attach to that one each time we see them? And it may not even be consciously. This is like one of the most subtle things that I really had to pay attention to through my experiences. I noticed that this is something that I would do. The event or whatever the perceived event was, it would be over with. But the story I would attach it to the one, whether they cussed me out or whatever happened. That story, when I saw them, that's what played in my mind, the story. It wasn't anything that they did in this moment, but what does that do when there's a story attached? Are you able to be free with that one? Are you able to love clearly? Are you able to have clear thinking in the moment when there's constant stories? These are the things that came up, and it was the revelation of that when I came to recognition of that's what I was doing. It was the story always attached. I wasn't allowing true forgiveness, really. There's no true forgiveness in believing the belief of these stories, the attachment to these stories, its judgment, really. That's the one who did this to me. Who is the one and who is me that we were referring to that was this happened to? And when is that? Is that in the moment? If it's not now, then, not to say that there won't be times where someone has done something that, that was truly hurtful, an experience that you had that was, didn't feel good. Not to say that, there isn't, you just allow people just to hurt you in a lot of, different ways, and you just accept behaviors that are not out of love, that you can allow them, and you just, no, I mean, you have discernment of who you accept, in your circles, or how you want to be treated. You don't have to keep being abused or someone doing something to you and you just look like, oh, that didn't happen. No, but this is much deeper. A lot of times suffering is in the belief of stories. Sometimes we can make stories up in our minds. An example, you can walk in a room, you can say, hey, hello, how y'all doing? It'll be a group of people. One person in their mind will be like, oh, she's so sweet. That's just so sweet how she comes in so bubbly and light-spirited, and oh my goodness. And another one will be like, oh, okay, hi. And they'll go back on. Then one will be like, I'll be saying hi too if I was riding in a Mercedes every morning. Like, she's just rubbing that in. Oh my goodness, that could be one perspective. And then another perspective, one could be like, oh, she's just the evil bee. She knows we don't like her and she has to say hello every day just to try to, And what's the difference between all these reactions? Is the state of consciousness, the state of the mind of the individual, and it's the belief. In each one of them, the same event happened, but each one had a different perspective on what they perceived. And these are all states of consciousness, you know. And clear seeing is actually seeing from the heart. And so a lot of the suffering comes with the stories. And a lot of people, they look for everywhere outside of themselves to for other people to try to cure their stories, especially when it comes to relationships. Maybe they were hurt as a child, and so they're looking for relationships. They're always pouring themselves in relationships, trying to find this either a father figure or whatever it is to mend their broken hearts, And when people don't respond in the way that they think they should respond, then it's something wrong with them. They did it, and then the story just goes on and on and on and on. But they've never gotten to the root of it. They never looked inward and wonder why there is even a story. And who is it, the one that's doing this suffering? And who is the one that's rehearsing this suffering over and over and over again? And who is the one that's attaching the suffering to whatever individual, whatever relationship that they come into? Why is this suffering being rehearsed and being attached to people that were not even around when the perceived suffering happened, or the event? And so they walk around with all these stories, just carrying them around. This person did this, and my father did this, my mother did this, and my sister cussed me out, and my teacher made me feel like this, and a best friend did this, my father abandoned me. All of these stories. And so when they see maybe their loved one that walks in, somehow they're supposed to heal these stories. And when they're not able to, or either that, they have to act a certain way, they have to tiptoe around me a certain way because I'm offended. I'm offended if you say this because I remember my father saying this, or I'm offended if you do this because somebody used to do this. It's all these stories. But what happens when we get rid of the stories? What happens when there's no more events outside of the moment? Then what is there to fix? Some people drag these stories and then they have to go to people like counselors. And these counselors are looking at the stories and they're trying to judge really perception. How can you judge a perception? And I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with counselors or anything like that. Sometimes there's a need just to get it out. If we haven't yet realized, that everything that you need is already here. It's already within you. It's already within that source. And if we could learn, really, once you experience yourself, and yourself is always going to be in the moment. It's not going to be in the past, the past and the future, because there's no such thing. You can never experience the past or the future. Even if you in your mind felt like you've been to the past, that was in the present. That happened in the present. It's all simultaneous. It doesn't, you can't step over somewhere else and then experience future. You're still going to be in the present. Everything's in the present. So that's the way to deal with that, is to go inward. But they go to, people, and they're judging people's opinions, people's perception. How do you sift through that? Because the amount of infinite thoughts that we have in one day is unmanageable, really. So what can we do with that, Because no matter what you try to give a person from the outside, or a being from the outside. They're not willing to look within. It's just like putting a Band-Aid on a wound that is infected. Slap the Band-Aid on there. All you did is remove it from us being able to look at the wound, but the wound did not go away. It's still there. It's still there. It doesn't matter, we can give you all these acts of doings. Do this and do that. And, write down these little lists, but it's not until you look inside to see who is it, the one who has this story. And when you start to look much deeper into that, you realize it's a fictitious person. This person, this me, myself, and this mind body person that I call Lynette or whoever, whatever the name is. It's the mind body person that I believe myself to be that's hurting. Then when you look even deeper, you realize, who is this person, that's rehearsing this? And why is this rehearsal, affecting this person I call me? When you step back from all that, you realize that those are just emotions, stories with, stories behind it, sensations with stories behind it, what emotions are. It's just creating all these emotions, and it's just rehearsing in the mind over and over and over, because it's not in the moment. It's something that, a perceived event, something that just happened that we decided to just hold on to. We allowed it to affect us and to keep playing, and keep reliving it and bringing it in. It's imagination now. It's went from an event to imagination, because you only could bring the imagination with it. It's not really happening over and over, but we're keeping it fresh because the imagination will do that. Keep it. Your mind just loves that, just loves the suffering, and only one that's suffering is the perceived person, which is, when you go to search for that person, it's really fictitious too, because we are not the mind, and we realize that we're not the body. The body is a vessel. We're that awareness, that breath of life. When you just look, we're the witness of all the happenings, but are we really changing? Are we bound? Are we limited? Now, if you think that you're this body mind, then all the answers to that would be yes, we are. But no, that's not truth, and that's why suffering, the belief of something that you're not, requires the universe, to respond in the way of that. And that suffering is just that. It's tapping you on the shoulder and saying, that's not you at all. So when we look at our loved ones, that something an event, an experience may have, you went through an experience, but if it's not in this moment, it's not necessary to pull it into the moment. So when you look at them, every time you look at them, if it's someone that you want to keep, maybe it's your husband or wife, you don't want to just kick her to the curb yet, not yet, but maybe you want to still, it's something that, you might have got upset, but it's not threatening the relationship. You can see them fresh and new every moment. You don't have to attach an event to them or a storyline to them. You can allow it to let go. You can let go in that moment, and that's what letting go of the stories is, releasing the stories, because then that way you're releasing suffering, you're releasing all the imagination, the things that are not real. Things are like clouds, they're here today and gone tomorrow. But if you believe them, if you're attached to that story, then that cloud can just be a downpour over your head, and you're just walking around in that storm. So these are ways, that if there's been stories that you've had, or you experiences that you had, it's okay to let go. And the way to do that is to go inside, and a lot of times it's just to face what is it telling me, and who is it telling me to, because I am you're the unchanging. I'm not a mind body. So if something happened to the body, was that really me? Did it happen to me? I'm the witness of all things, that are here. I'm the witness to the movement. Am I the movement or the activity, Am I the activity, or the activity emanates within, And you can look at that. It doesn't matter what happened. If you were raped or molested, or, did that happen to you, or did that happen to the body? Were you the one that happened to, or were you the one that just witnessed this happening? And that can cure a lot of things. That can nip a lot of things in the bud, You are the witness. You are that source. We are that breath of life, that awareness which everything emanates from and have their being. The activity of God is the movement, and it appears in form. It appears in shape. It appears in concepts, But is it real? The only thing that's real is us. And we are not a mind-body person. We are that source, a limited expression, here in human form, having a human experience. I'll say it more of that, But are we human? We are the awareness that, emanates the movement. And so, let's release the stories. If you release the stories, then is there anything to fix? We have no baggage to carry into the office of the counselors. And it's a good job that they do, because some people need some sorting out things. There's levels, of unveiling. Not really, but yeah. I mean, unveiling doesn't always happen like this. Some people, you tell them and then they're awake already, but others takes a little time, to unveil each time, And there's still some times where you might have an experience and it brings you back, and then you have to readdress some of these things to, to unveil the lies, to get, to put attention on it. First of all, there's some beings will not bring attention back to themselves. They're just too scared. They're just rather sweep it under the rug, or they're not ready to approach it. They're fearful. But if we can get past that fear and just look at it, it's almost like if you ever, I don't know, everybody knows Usher. It said, let it burn. Let it burn. Go through that emotion or the feeling that it gives you. Just know you don't have to put a story to the feeling. Feel it, and see if you died. You didn't die, then no. But I'm just saying, sometimes the mind to think, oh, you're gonna die if you have to go through that, and then if you believe that, you might actually, leave the body. I don't know, but it's all due to what you believe. Do you believe everything that lands in, and I say here, it's not here, I don't know where the mind is, but do you believe everything that just comes through? You catching it and holding on to it and saying, oh yeah, you're so right, mind. Yes. I mean, I'm just, all the lies it can tell you. Some people just grab onto it and they agree with it. But if you just let that go and let it just, pass through like the cloud it is, everything's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Just know that. Know that you are not the mind. You are the love. You are peace. Whether or not it's quiet, no matter what's chirping up there is irrelevant to who you are. So just wanted to leave you with that. Like I said, this is probably one of the last recognitions, one of the ones that was very subtle. It's like, keeping storylines and then attaching it to your loved ones. Sometimes we do that. They do something, and then every time we see them, that story comes up. Oh, that's the subtle. It's time to go in and look at it. Time to look at it, look at the emotion, and then let it go. Experience how you feel, and then cover it with love. And that's how it would dissipate. You got to approach it. You have to look at it, You can't just ignore it, because anything that you resist is going to persist. So the thing is, just let that burn. Let it, and recognize what you're feeling without putting a story to it. And recognize that if you were putting a story to it before, that's, don't judge it, but just know, okay, recognize that there's a recognition that there was a story, but now we're stripping down that. We're exposing everything, because that's the only way you can experience yourself. Unveil all the conditioning and the lies is by, just letting go and covering all that with the love that you are. Okay, and I keep acting like I'm leaving, but I'm really... That's just been going on and on, and so I needed to just try to encourage someone. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. Remember that you are beautiful, and I love you. Bye. Get out of that, honey. Come on. Let's go this way. Come on. Wanna fit it? Come on, push it. Up. Gonna sit. Sit. Okay, watch out for the roly-polies. Watch out for the roly-polies. Oh, don't step on the roly-poly. No. You killed the roly-poly, Alakai. No, don't kill it. No. Don't kill the roly-poly. Don't kill the roly-poly. Come on. Alakai. Come on. We're gonna walk. Come on. Get away from that water.
Boy, can I go?
Yeah.
Boy.
No, don't put that in the water.